Hello, Spacers. Welcome to I guess this would be our October spider history for our audio listeners. This is our second month covering symbiotes, venom, mullets, and clones. And I thought who could do that with the best of ease? That would be our friend JR. You're asleep? Are you asleep on month 2 of this?
Oh,
Yes.
whoa! No, it was just the time between part one and getting the things
You mean the 30
rebooted,
days?
and I just the 30 days that it took your computer to reboot. I just caught up
Yes.
and just
Yeah,
caught
don't
up.
you love when you leave for 15 minutes and everything is frozen? It won't move. Yeah, it's like
Uh,
Gary in the Frozen over there. So,
yeah, there were a couple of questions. I think Gary in the Frozen is one of those people who didn't get the Odd Couple joke. So anyway, no, there's a point to this coming up.
okay.
So I'm assuming he's fairly young,
Right.
and he asked a question, and I'm assuming it's a legit question. So I'll answer it. He asked, "Why was Marvel pushing so hard for Ben Reilly? He's
Okay.
nobody compared with Peter." Well, this was the mid '90s, and
Right.
DC had the death of Superman,
Yep.
and Bane breaking Batman's back, and those were just huge events. And of course, the death of Superman, some people blame on they say that was the nadir of the in the comic industry just crashed from there on because people realized, oh crap, he's not really going to stay dead. Anyway, so Marvel and Marvel at this time, you have to remember, was owned by a bunch of corporate raiders.
Yep.
It had been purchased by a group owned by Ron Perlman, who was I think he was a Revlon. But anyway, the only reason they had Marvel is that they were going to, load it up with debt, buy a bunch of other companies, and they were going to flip it and then take it public. And then they would cash out for millions and millions of dollars by taking it public. So they had to have a big event. So everything was marketing driven. They had to have a big event. So the spider writers are sitting around, and then, what can we do? What can we do? And then Terry Cavanaugh, the man who gave you Facade, okay, says, why doesn't the clone come back and we find out that he's the real Spider-Man? And the table goes silent. And then for some reason, common sense is sucked out of the room, and everybody thinks, oh, wow, that's a great idea. That's cool. Let's do it. Also, the writer, a lot of writers Marvel had been wanting to get rid of Peter and Mary Jane's marriage almost since after it happened. They thought it aged the character. And this was like the first of at least of 3 attempts, and finally on the third one it took
Right.
to get rid of the marriage. And so they were going to replace him with Ben. Ben was going to be single. Ben was going to be a playboy. Ben was going to take us into new, exciting adventures. Blah blah blah. So that was the plan, Gary and the Frozen. That's and you could see the subtleties, like things like Ben having more sense than Peter, because we were then supposed to realize how cool Ben was.
So we're starting this episode with a Venom book, which I never say we do. And looks like the scanner over on Marvel Unlimited kind of messed up the colors on this one. Venom is not white and light blue. And also the logo looks off. But anyway, what is it? What does the original book look like? You got it in front of you, JR.
Actually, I do. You're right. Venom doesn't quite look that bad. Here's what he's not. It does look bad. I mean, but in real life, it doesn't seem to glow
they took the purple out. They took the purple out of the color scan.
And actually, and Spidey and Ben look a little bit paler too. Kind of like actually, this comic looks like it's been like you go to a comic shop and you see the comics that they've had in the display window for a little bit
the
too
sun
long,
has faded them,
and the sun has faded them. That's what this looks like. So,
all right.
But anyway,
so last month on Spider History, we were talking about the David Michelinie is writing all these main stories, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if memory serves, Spidey and Venom went through a big portal. Did Scarlet Spider go with them?
Yes, he did.
He did. Okay,
After all,
good.
he was. After all, it was it was his tunic that the
His tunic. Yeah.
symbiote was disguising itself as. So,
Yep. Well, there you go.
um, basically what happened was the symbiote realized that they were outmatched,
Yep.
and so he pulled them all through the Stargate to give them, time to,
This is such a
reconstitute themselves.
ripoff on Stargate, by the way. Look at that. Look at them walk through the Stargate.
Well, not only Stargate but Alien.
Yeah.
I mean, you know,
Yeah. Oh yeah, they just look like xenomorphs too,
they
don't
look
they?
like the
Yeah.
xenomorphs. So
Yep.
I mean, there's nothing that Marvel won't shamelessly rip off, and I'm sure DC, I'm sure DC does it too. I'm sure they all do it. They all lift. I mean, it's
Yeah.
not, I mean, sometimes we get a little overrun. They all do it. They all lift, and they probably always have. But so anyway, the story opens with Eddie and Scarlet and Ben all kind of coming to their senses, and then they realize, oh my God, we're in an alien movie, you know. Uh, so golly,
Exactly.
I mean, the first two were good. The third one sucked, but the fourth one's not going to come out for another couple of years. So anyway,
No,
so
the fifth one. No, there's been 5 Alien movies,
well, they did 4 with Sigourney Weaver, and then
and
they
then they did Alien
re
Covenant,
yeah, and Prometheus, I think, and
Prometheus. Yeah.
anyway, so and Alien versus Predator, and
Yeah.
so but there were only 2 good Alien movies. Um,
Yeah. I'll give you
but
that.
anyway, so they're on the plane. So what has happened? And this is what we're going to find out.
Hmm.
What has happened is the symbiotes have. This is another world. This is not the. See, the title of the story is called Planet of the Symbiotes, but we really never go to the planet of the symbiotes. We are just on a planet where the
Hmm.
symbiotes have taken over. And as Eddie explains a little bit later, I'll just go ahead and jump a couple of pages. Eddie
Hmm.
explains that. Yeah, well, actually, you remember when the Independence Day came out, and
Yeah.
the alien, zapped the president, and the president could see what they thought, or were thinking,
Yeah.
and how he described the aliens as just like locusts who move across the universe and just strip
Yeah.
planets of their resources or whatever. Well, the symbiotes are like that. They go through the galaxy, they invade these worlds, they take over all the bodies, they suck the lives out of them. Basically, the adrenaline rush, and that's how they explain it,
Right.
is that the aliens live off. But the thing is, though, uh, it's funny that they say, well, it's but is all alien do all aliens have adrenaline? I mean, do they
It's
all
a
all alien?
human thing.
Yeah, do they have all
See.
the same physiology that human beings do, that they all feel?
Yeah.
So
You're thinking
anyway,
too much. Why do all Star Trek aliens have 2
I
eyes and a mouth too?
I know. So yeah, and bumpy ridges. The next
Yeah.
generation, they all
Exactly.
had bumpy ridges.
Yeah.
But anyway, so a fight immediately commences, of course, between
Yeah.
the symbiote slash xenomorphs, and Eddie and the 2 spiders. And Then they, to get away, the Venom symbiote, they find a spaceship, and the Venom symbiote attaches itself to Scarlet again, and so they
Looks
start
so
the ship.
goofy.
Yeah,
Look at that.
yeah, yeah. So they start, and the whole idea is that they're a hive mind, like the Borg, I guess, in a way.
Yeah, I
They're a
guess
hive
so.
mind, so they all know what each other's thinking. So the symbiote can get into any alien aircraft or spaceship that they're using, and the symbiote knows how to work it because he's knows what all the other symbiotes know. Okay,
Right.
so anyway, so while this is going on, Mary Jane is pumping iron furious.
What is this? Did she win the WWF belt? What is
Yeah,
that?
well, it's a back brace,
Okay.
but it
All
but
right.
it's
Whew.
certainly a
What in the
snazzier looking.
heck?
Yeah, it's a snazzier looking back brace than I've ever seen. Uh, but no, that's what she's wearing. Um,
Hey,
um,
easy, honey. Keep pounding like that, and you'll damage the machine.
yeah, so yeah. Yeah,
Oh my
Mary Jane is
gosh.
just furious, and she's pumping pumping iron furiously, much to the amusement of this goofy gal here,
Yeah.
and she says, basically, well, why you got such a mad on girl,
Yeah.
and Mary Jane says, my husband didn't come home last night, and the woman
Oh.
says, oh, my sweetie does it all the time. Mary Jane's Yeah. And Mary Jane says, does your sweetie fight brain eating monsters from outer space? Well, that would be a mic drop, right? That would be a
Oh,
mic drop.
Matt has a good. None of these artists know how to draw a pregnant woman, apparently. That's pretty good, Matt.
Well,
Yeah,
again, I'm trying to think of when. See, and when I was going through this, and I was actually doing the back, with the Ben Riley story that we'll talk about in a couple of month, or actually next month.
next month, yeah.
I really kind of lost track of when all these stories happened. So I don't know if she's like very early or,
A couple months.
Middle or whatever. But I mean, there are some women, believe it or not, there are some women who do not show very much at all. In fact,
maybe Mary Jane's like that.
Yeah. In fact, Aaron Spelling lost a lawsuit because he fired one of his actresses because she got pregnant.
Mm-hmm.
And he said that a pregnant woman can't be sexy. And so during the course of the trial, of course, she's very thin. She stood up and said, "Oh, by the way, I happen to be pregnant now."
Right.
There went Spelling's case right there. But anyway, that's beside the point. But anyway, so as Mary Jane is furiously pumping, and this is another. By this time, okay, boys and girls, the trial of Peter Parker has ended because. You open it up and there's clone fallout. Now the entire world learned the shocking news that Ben Riley is the one true original Peter Parker. The guy we've known as Spider-Man since Amazing number 150 was really the clone. Oh boy, they're just so excited. You certainly let us know how you felt about those events. Many of you love it. Many of you hate it. Honestly, who loved it? Really, who loved it? Other than sycophants, to be honest. Anyway, but one thing's for sure, nobody ignored it. But even more startling events are about to happen that will make your head spin. Right. Yeah, like you having to reverse the whole thing and bringing the Green Goblin back. But this was also actually the month, I believe, that Untold Tales of Spider-Man debuted. So, which was
the best book being released during that time,
which was the best, but which was actually a very clever little book, to be honest.
It was 99 cents.
Yeah, it was 99 cents. And I believe it was Pat Olaf, I think, was the artist, but he mimicked the look. I mean, of the Ditko era Spider-Man, like Peter was still in the powder blue suit. It was one, if you can find those issues cheaply, it's a good buy.
They're in an omnibus too, and on Marvel Unlimited. Yeah. All right, so the boys are talking on a big old throne, like Game of Thrones over here.
I think that's the alien spaceship they flew, but
that's it.
Anyway, so Marvel here is promising, even more startling events, and Ben joined as Spider-Man joins the New Warriors too, so to pump up that loser title. Okay, well. Anyway, so our, as Brad was trying to rush me to, our heroic trio are holed up in an alien warehouse, and that's when Scarlet says, "Well, you see, when the symbiote was mimicking my tunic, I was picking up impressions and hunches about where to find the alien camp on Earth, but otherwise he doesn't want to talk to me." So basically what they have to do, they said, Eddie, you got to become Venom again. All right. Yeah. And then that's when Eddie tells you the readers and everything about the background of the symbiote or the symbiote race, and how his particular Venom symbiote essentially didn't want to eat and run. That it wanted to bond permanently with a host. And share a life with that host. And all of the other symbiotes thought it was crazy. So they put it in a prison, and that prison wound up on Battle World. Okay. And then that was when Peter went into the costume, Peter goes into, after Thor comes out with a new costume and somebody else comes out with a new, just go right in there, I'll make you a new costume. So Peter's in this, like all this alien technology, he's completely alone, and he just starts punching buttons like an idiot. And, like I said, the black turd falls out, and that's Venom. All right. Well,
there you go. So they put him in timeout, and they put him in a world. So a section of the Beyonder, I'm guessing, because remember the Beyonder took sections of worlds and made a big world. So they pulled a section of the world that the symbiote was on
I,
Is that
I
what I'm gathering?
I genuinely, it just says the prison lab was transported to Battle World during the Great Superhero War, which was
Yeah.
which ended with a
Okay.
whimper, to be honest. But anyway, that's
It's Michelini trying to make sense of why the symbiote is on the planet, I
yeah, yeah,
guess. Okay.
yeah. So
Got it.
so anyway, okay, the symbiote. Okay, and as Paul Harvey used to say, now we know the rest of the story. All right, so when
Check
Eddie,
out Ben Riley without a hoodie.
yeah, I know it does kind of look a little, yeah.
He's like trying to cover himself. He feels like slightly naked.
Yeah, yeah. Actually, he kind of looks a little bit like Deadpool there.
Oh, he does look like. When was Deadpool created? Like, is this pre-Deadpool? Because that looks totally
I don't
like
think
Deadpool.
Deadpool came on until like the late '90s, '98 or something. But somebody out there can tell us. Uh, but so when Eddie rejected the symbiote, the psychic scream was heard by the other symbiotes. The other symbiotes actually, I guess, weren't that far away. They just happened to be in a nearby solar system. So even though, like, for example, Proxima Centauri is still 4.25 light years away at the speed of light, the psychic whale still got there to this other solar system, and then the alien, and then the symbiotes came. Now, something I never quite understood during this story is that the whole race of symbiotes, and how many, I mean, or do they pack up and move as a race? Just how many symbiotes are there? Thousands, millions, or whatever?
I think they're all over the galaxy. I think they're all over the galaxy.
I never quite understood what's going on here. But anyway, so now we'll go back on Earth, and we go back to the secret installation in rural New York. Okay. Mm-hmm. Where Ravencroft has sent Cletus Cassidy to experiment on. And right. And of course the scientists there, say, our technology is so cutting edge, it'll contain Cassidy and his symbiote, and like all arrogant scientists and like all science presentations you see in comics, nothing can go wrong here. All right.
By the way, we have an answer of Deadpool's premiere was in 1991. So this is long after Deadpool. So yeah, there you go.
Well, this was still before he became the legend.
New Mutants 98, if memory serves. Yep.
Well, that's why 98 was okay. All right. So now back to the alien ripoff world. All right. The trio make it back to the Stargate. Now they've got a plan. Okay. They're going to blow up the Stargate and trap all the aliens there, the rest of them there, so they can't come through. But the problem is somebody has to stay behind and operate the machine. All right. And Ben says, "Oh, I'm just a little itty bitty clone. No one will miss me." All right. Anyway, Brock says it has to be him because only the symbiote can operate the machinery. Now, of course, you can't help but notice. Oh, what page is that? I would just have to, because there was. Oh, yes. Here we go. There's one page, Brad, where the colorist apparently forgot that he was coloring the Scarlet Spider and not Venom, because Ben is black. Dressed in black. So
let's see. Do they show Ben's face?
Well, no, not his face, but I mean, it's the top of the page is the three of them staring at the Stargate.
Okay, I got it. There you go. So what panel are we talking about?
Go down.
Okay.
Middle of the page. Yeah, there's Spider-Man.
Oh, that's hysterical. Look at that.
Yeah, there's Ben. Yeah. Yeah. I'm just a clone. Yes, I'm only a clone. So, but I just thought that was funny. Amusing. That
is funny. Nice catch there.
It's not quite as bad as Mary Jane being blonde in early. I think it was early Maximum Carnage, but anyway. Okay.
So you got Spidey. You got the symbiote randomly shows up, and another one. Missed one. Yep. That's funny.
But oh my gosh, I've got my notes all backwards here. I've got a mistake. So anyway, hang on just a second, boys and girls.
Gary in the Frozen says Black Suit Spidey cameo. Mike is talking about something Cullen Bunn wrote, and I didn't follow in the chat. Help me out in chat. What are we talking about, Mike? What did Cullen Bunn write? That was a retcon or something. Tyler goes, Donny Cates sort of fixed that by saying there's a lot of symbiotes that went their own ways, and they overthrew Null. So Venom did still come from a hostile group of parasitic symbiotes that were corrupted, is what Tyler says. So I guess the question is what... Brent says they're all symbiotes by their nature. They should all be evil and parasitic. So anyway.
Okay. So, wait, here's what happened. I'm back on track now.
Okay,
so
cool.
Anyway, what happens is, Eddie starts the machine. The Stargate's going to blow up, but he's able to slip back in. He's able to get away. But as our heroes find out, the Stargate doesn't close, because all the symbiotes have genetic memory or whatever, and they all were able to get out before the Stargate closed. And so they've all flooded in. And so the last page of this particular story is...
Oof. Here they come.
Oh, Lord, here they come.
That's every symbiote that's been in Marvel Comics since 1995 in one group shot.
just like, what was it, U2? This is the end of the world as we know it.
We know it. Yeah, man.
Yep.
Oof.
So anyway, now this next story in here, in this issue, this particular issue, this next short story, I'm going to go into a little bit more detail. One, because it involves a significant character in Spider-Man's history, and it's dumb. It's dumb. It's written by Dan Slott. I remember when it was
written
first
by Dan Slott.
It was written by
in
Dan
1995.
Slott. Yep.
Wow.
Anyway,
you just said it's dumb. That's hysterical.
It's funny because at this time we were all kind of actually in love with Dan Slott, because he had done
1995. I wasn't.
Well, wait a minute. When did he do Spider-Man Human Torch?
Like 2004, I'm thinking.
Oh, really?
Like right before 2000.
Because
I don't know.
I remember this was because I said how this story didn't make any sense and it was dumb. And someone said, well, did you see who wrote that story? And so I go back and it's like, Dan Slott, and it was like, because at that time, like I said, we were all hoping that, Dan would become a permanent writer on Spider-Man, because after that and the Human Torch, and then the She-Hulk, where Spider-Man guest starred and Sue Jonah, it was a really good story, So, sure. But of course, anyway, so what happens here? This takes place after Jean DeWolf this takes place before Jean DeWolf has been killed by the Sin Eater, and when Peter has first gotten brought the symbiote back to Earth, and the symbiote is taking him for joyrides that he doesn't realize.
How ironic is this that Dan Slott and Mark Bagley, who penciled this story, are starting a new Spider-Man title when they worked together back in 1995? That's funny.
Yeah, I guess that's a perfect example of never burn your bridges. I've had the experience of not seeing somebody for almost 30 years, and then having to work with them again. So that does happen. But anyway, so Jean DeWolf. Now, as you know, too, boys and girls, Jean DeWolf, before she died, had a crush on Spider-Man. She had started to fall in love with Spider-Man. And when Spidey went to her apartment to see if he could see any clues or whatever after she had died, he found all the memorabilia she had of him, and how, she kept all the pictures of the two of them together. And anytime the Black Cat was in one, she cut the Black Cat out. And Bill Mantlo wrote these stories where Jean was in love or thinking about. And Mantlo created Jean DeWolf. So if anybody knew, that was kind of why I was thinking, if anybody thought it was in character for Jean to start falling in love with Spider-Man, Mantlo was the one. So anyway, so we have this story where there's a police shootout going on, and Spider-Man arrives, much to Jean's delight or whatever. But then she says, she wants to, after it's all done or whatever, she takes him around the corner and she wants to talk to him. Okay. And she says, puts her hand on his, shoulder. Yeah, go to the next one. Next page.
Let's see. Hands on the shoulder. Okay, got it. Yep.
And then she says, I love you, Spider-Man. Okay.
She says that? Oh,
It's
yep,
like
she does right there.
she
I
says,
love you, Spider-Man.
I love you, Spider-Man. Okay, now
Man.
right now Peter is not conscious. Okay, Peter is asleep.
Oh.
The symbiote is conscious. The symbiote, and so the symbiote has memories of Peter kissing the black cat, and so he leans in, for to kiss. And then Jean says, "Oh no, I meant like a brother or a really good friend. Actually, more like a best friend." And it's like,
What?
no, 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 no. You don't tell somebody you love them. It's like you
Okay.
really wonder, wow, how many relationships have you been in?
Oh,
It's
man.
just, and so it's just, and so obviously the symbiote goes back
Flies
home or
off, yeah.
whatever, and one day when Peter is visiting Aunt May's grave, that he sees Jean DeWolf's as well, because everybody in Spider-Man history is buried within the same plot area.
Within the same plot. Get
In
it?
the
I get
same,
it.
they're virtually all in the same plot, so Peter can, like, whenever he's in one of his funks, he can go to everybody's grave who's died throughout the series.
Yeah.
But this story just struck me as one of those where you just smack your, you do a face palm, and it's like, no, nobody does that. Nobody does that to somebody else.
Well, it totally kind of takes away what Mantlo and Peter David did with Jean DeWolf, didn't it?
Exactly,
I
exactly.
mean,
She
and it just kind of
did.
craps on those
Yeah,
stories, which
yeah.
that
Now,
the writer in '95 was doing back then. Wow, that's crazy.
Now, theoretically, you could say that Jean was honest about it. She did say that. And then when he leaned in for the kiss, then her defenses came up, because Jean was kind of a hard bitten, tough cop. I mean,
Yeah.
she'd been created in the '70s, by Mantlo. So,
Right.
and she was a police captain when a lot of women were not.
Here you
And that's
go.
that's one of the funny things too. Sometimes you have to realize, what the characters when they were created. But like,
I like
she,
chat real quick. McNulty says, so Dan Slott wrote a story in which a symbiote got friend zoned,
yeah.
and Tyler goes, the symbiote's trying to get Peter laid in his sleep.
Hey, the symbiote cared about Peter.
Oh, that's funny.
The symbiote cared about Peter, and he
Yep.
was thinking, well, my boy ain't getting enough action, because
Might as well hook him up in his sleep.
why, hey, this very attractive police captain is making some moves, so why don't I help my boy out? But
Well,
anyway,
JR, we got one
aggravating.
more, don't we?
Always
We got what, number 4 of
Number 4.
5.
Number 4 of 5.
Okay, here we go. We're going over to spec for this one.
All right, we are going to the
Is that
spectacular
the Joker on the bottom left on the cover? What is that with the symbiote? No, I don't know what that is. It just looks weird.
Well, basically, the symbiotes are taking over everybody.
They're all over New York. Yep.
Yeah, they're all over the world now.
Stargate has opened them up and bring them all in,
Yeah,
baby.
this is the spectacular Spider-Man Super Special.
Gotcha.
Okay. Anyway, so the story opens. We open the story with a news report on how the symbiotes are spreading across the earth.
Invasion.
And why? That, for some reason, that reminded me of Secret Invasion for a minute. But anyway, so now heroes like the Human Torch and Black Bolt are able to fend them off, but not all the superheroes are so lucky. And even Captain America,
not Cap.
The world shares the pain of Captain America and other fallen heroes. But we know if Cap could tell you, he'd say, "Stay inside."
Oh my gosh! Look at that graphic. It's even becoming a
The symbiote. Yeah, the
symbiotes invaded the control room. The graphics are getting. Oh no, not the newsman. Oh my God. Oh, Invasion Part 4.
Now, and here's, and again, I'll when the story's over, I'll say more. But to be honest, there could have been a really good spooky story here. To be honest,
where everyone gets a symbiote.
Well, no, just
they eventually did.
Yeah. Just the whole, again, I mean, it reminds me of Spider-Man Reign, where the symbiotes come through the portal, whatever, and they invade Earth, and the symbiotes, like, they're plopping down on Earth, and then they're all crawling up the Empire State Building to get to Spider-Man. I'm thinking, God, that would be an awesome visual in a movie. But anyway, so Okay, so Captain America, a lot of heroes are taken over by symbiotes. It's just a symbiote eat symbiote world now. All right. So anyway, so again, we have another big fight between our heroic trio and the symbiotes with their new human host.
Hold up.
Um,
By the way, all these symbiotes invasions are causing a nicotine fit. Don't forget this.
yeah,
We got
I,
Mary Jane getting the shakes, man.
yeah,
She wants
yeah,
some cigs.
yeah.
She just
Now,
worked out. She pumped iron, and now she needs a good smoke.
yeah.
Jr.
And well, and see, but in Maximum Carnage, she just would have gone out and bought cigarettes, because everything would have been open, and she just would have,
Oh
she
yeah,
just, that's Maximum Carnage, where everybody continue with their lives, even though there was this
yes.
group of maniacs killing hundreds of people. So anyway, but actually, you see, Mary Jane is now she's got the board, she's got the windows boarded up or whatever, and she's in the corner or whatever, and she's ready. She's later she's got a knife, she's going to attack the symbiotes or whatever. So
She's ready.
yeah, yeah. So she's ready to go. All right. Well, anyway, so Peter or Spider-Man sees a sign for a mall, and he's got an idea. Okay.
For a mall.
Yeah, he sees a bulletin board for a mall, and he has an idea. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Now, at one, and of course,
Oh, I got you. Okay,
yeah,
I got it. Hold on.
yeah. So
Let's go to the mall, Jr.
Yeah, we're going to
The
go to the
Midford
mall. We're going to go to the mall. Okay. But before we go to the mall,
Okay.
we got to go back to where Cletus is, because we find out in this super secret installation that he's at that the symbiotes have a symbiote has gotten through, taken over the security guard, and he's going to let's see here. Spider-Man
symbiote with a mustache just looks weird. What's up with that?
yeah.
It's like, what if Tom Selleck got a symbiote?
Well, yeah.
Magnum PI symbiote. Yeah.
But,
I agree, Hornacek. That is the worst billboard for a mall I've ever seen too.
So, but the symbiote, the thing is, like, Cletus's thoughts are hooked up to a computer. So, so you can read what Cletus is thinking, and he insults the symbiote. And of course, the symbiote gets gets offended, and he does one of his little zip, shoots something at Cassidy. Well, it allows Cassidy to escape. All right,
he's out.
Shoots a tentacle at him, which accidentally releases Cassidy and the Carnage symbiote, which then proceeds to attack the other symbiote, and Carnage absorbs it. Okay. Essentially, he eats the symbiote, and he feels he is a little bit bigger and stronger.
It's almost like we're leading up to the next issue of Web of Spider-Man or something.
And this is just going to be bad, if he's able to get bigger and stronger and everything like that. Okay. Well, here, this is then. Okay. So now our heroes are at the mall.
Oh, look at this, Barney. Hey, kids, skate with Benny. Hey, you want some haggis?
At least someone's
haggis burger.
Yeah. At least someone's ripped the little bastard's head off.
But now, I haven't read this since '95. Does Ben go into a store, and at least so he's not so naked, does he get a hoodie? Does he?
Hang on a second.
Okay, I'm just predicting. Boy, again, I don't remember if he did or not.
Boy, never go with Brad to a movie or whatever, because what's going to happen? What's going to happen? It's like
I read it.
So, who's the mysterious stranger or whatever, in Spider-Man 155, right? But, okay. So, but anyway, I just thought it was funny that, of course, in the 90s, if you remember, Barney was, Barney was everywhere. The purple dinosaur. And he was so sickening. Yeah. And it was the most, is what I remember. It was the classic case of where over marketing killed a franchise, killed that character, because people literally got so sick of it that they pretty well just turned their backs on the character.
But this isn't the Barney crawl space, and we're talking about Venom.
This is
big savings.
Big
savings here.
First of all, this is Spider history. Spider history is American history. Okay, and when we talked
about Bill Clinton's reference in the last episode.
No, see, the whole point is to transport our viewing audience to transport them to the time that the story was written. Okay, so I talk about Barney, but anyway, and then Ben says something incredibly dumb here. A mall on Saturday afternoon? it should be packed. It's like an alien invasion is going on.
Here, McNulty in chat says, I didn't even look at the restaurant to the right. It's called Cafe Flesh.
Well,
I think those burgers are well done there,
Well, I'm going to make a Dawn of the Dead reference here before too long, so maybe that's what Cafe Flesh is.
Brains.
Right.
Well, Venom likes brains, so that's appropriate,
Yeah.
There you go.
But it's just like the mall. Where is everybody? The mall, it should be packed on Saturdays. Like there's an alien invasion going on, and symbiotes are taking over people, and you think the people should be out the mall watching Barney. That was dumb. So Spidey says, "Okay, everybody, look for fire and sonic devices here at the mall. I'm sure we'll conveniently just find them laying around somewhere." Okay, now Brad, here is the answer to your question.
All right. I got you.
Scarlet is feeling pretty naked without his blue tunic.
Of course he is. He needs to go get an outfit.
Yep. So okay. He figures, well, screw the urgency of this particularly dire situation that we are in.
He colors it.
So he takes the time, to rip, the sleeves off, whatever. And then he takes the time to take a permanent marker and sketch a spider on it. I mean,
I forgot about this. Oh, Ben.
There's an alien invasion going on, okay? Look, time is of the essence. Well,
so Ben goes into Bass Pro Shop. He gets a magic marker.
Yeah, I mean, so it's like he has to he has to take the time to do a magic marker on his,
that's the best.
God, that's just dumb.
God bless. I don't smoke, but Mary Jane, she's pregnant, taking some puffs. What in '95 they knew smoking was bad for kids, didn't they? What's that about? Anyway, that was the previous panels. My bad. Yep. Anyway, the magic marker bit. Gee,
I shouldn't be too hard on poor Scarlet, because at least he found some propane torches there at Camping World or Bass Pro or wherever he went. At least he found something.
The floor is not lava. The floor is symbiotes.
Yeah.
Run!
Whereas because Venom and Spider-Man, did you find anything? Nope. Did you find anything? Nope. So,
even Ben is resourceful. He found a magic marker. A hoodie looks just like it. He found some propane tanks. My clone is getting busy. He knows how to shop. He can get in and out.
He's in it to win it.
Gosh.
So
in it to win it, man.
Yeah. So anyway, so Spider-Man has an idea. Okay, he says, I remember that old 1970s horror classic, Dawn of the Dead. Not the Zack Snyder remake, which isn't too bad in its own right, but it's nothing like Romero's version, of course. All right, but anyway, in that movie, they cranked up the mall music to cover. They had blocked all the entrances with the trucks, and they were going to they trapped a bunch of zombies in the mall, and they were going to shoot all the zombies, but they had to cover up because zombies are attracted by gunfire or whatever. So they turned the music up really loud so that the zombies wouldn't hear, and blah 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 blah, and they killed all the zombies. Anyway, so Spider-Man says, okay, I'm going to crank it up really loud, and we're going to
so what song do you think they crank in the mall? You have it?
I have it. Show us.
All right, what is it?
Okay,
this should be it. Let's do it. The microphone. Raindrops keep. Which was in Spider-Man 2. Ah! Let me get the crawl space logo off of there.
Spider-Man's going, I'll just crank up the skating ring sound system. Hey, I recognize that. It's from Volume 1, Movie 2 of my film franchise.
Yeah, and B.J. Thomas. Raindrops keep falling on my head. So maybe Sam Raimi years ago read this. And
Sam Raimi hated the symbiote, so I very much doubt that he read any Spider-Man comics after.
That's so funny. Look at Ben Reilly. He's not a big B.J. Thomas Raindrops fan.
Well, what he says, he says no, the just loud music, just bad 70s music isn't going to. Or whenever, I don't know when that song came out, but
look at the left of that panel. They killed Barney.
So you need to create some feedback. So he slams the microphone and creates this just horrible ear shattering feedback. All right. So anyway, if I were Dark Mark kids, I would say the word for today is dissonance. All right. So.
Oh, hey, look, the magic marker went a little crazy on the hoodie again. Look at that. He just started drawing all over it.
So anyway,
Good
Ben
Lord.
then makes the observation of saying that, I wish these guys would just go home. And then Spider-Man says, yeah, that's the ticket. If we reverse the polarity of the neutron flow of the alien jump gate, maybe we can send them back. Okay. If we can if they can imitate or reproduce the psychic shriek from Venom symbiote, that might irritate the hell out of them and they'll leave. Okay. So they present the plan to Eddie, and Eddie says, well, in order to save the innocence of the world, I'll do it. All right. Now, the scene switches back to the installation where Carnage was or is. He's still, and he's been snacking on symbiotes. Okay.
Carnage peeking in the window there.
Yeah. So, yeah, he's peeping Carnage. And it's like
from Kane. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's like, wow, something's really going on. But this symbiote here that I just ate isn't telling me anything. So he turns on a propane tank himself and exposes him to the, essentially the whole thing of putting your hand on a lighter or whatever. And he says, I know this is hurting me as much as it is the symbiote, but the difference between me and him is I don't care. All right.
Meanwhile, back at Stargate.
Back at the Stargate
Labs.
Back at the Stargate, a lighted propane tank is tossed into the symbiote's mist and blows up, scattering the symbiotes. All right.
Boom! What? Here, we got a bawang. We got a bawang.
Wow. That's not nearly as intimidating as a boom. A bawang.
Oh, it made like 10 seasons of that show, didn't it? The big bawang theory. Okay. Anyway, keep going.
I mean, bawang sounds like a sound a guitar makes when it's out of tune.
Bawang. Yeah, I got you. Yeah.
So, anyway, the trio reaches the controls, but when then one of the symbiotes takes the ship and blows up the Stargate, which means they didn't need it anymore. The entire invasion force is on Earth.
Oh,
how could this get any worse? And again, this is what I wonder. I mean, I was wondering, is this every symbiote and they don't have a home world? They just move, whatever. So, but then
they packed up and moved.
How can it get worse? A big, giant, 40-foot tall Carnage is coming.
You know what that reminds me of? You remember at the end of the Muppet movie where Animal took the thing and he got real big, his head busted through the ceiling? That's what it looks like.
I vaguely. Oh,
I love the Muppet movie.
I vaguely
bringing it all back to Muppets, my man.
Well, and so I mean, this is. It can't get any worse than this, can it, boys and girls?
Well, give it time.
And I mean, we're almost out of time too. I mean, we'll have to leave you hanging for another 30 days before we get back. But before we do, of course,
got to do some backups. Hold on.
Well, we're going to do first of all, though, I'm going to skip a page here because, again, the ads, that's one of the good things actually about having the real comics. I mean, Marvel Unlimited is just terrific resource. But there's nothing like having the original comic because you get all the ads. And, it's
what are we
selling? They're advertising Peter Parker, no more. I know you can't see this, but
I got
you. Yeah, Peter Parker, no more. The end of an era, The man we followed for years is retiring and leaving the superheroics to the one guy who started it all, Ben Reilly, the one true original Peter Parker, and they just expect everyone to just, yay, isn't that great? 20 years of my comics flushed down the toilet.
Is that from Spider-Man the Lost Year? Not Lost Years,
well, that's from
Final Adventures. What are they advertising there?
They're advertising Spectacular number 229.
Okay, got it. Okay,
and I think that was the one where they finally, Spectacular. It's written by Tom DeFalco and it's beautifully illustrated by your pal Sal,
my man,
and Bill Sienkiewicz or whatever. So
Sienkiewicz.
Yeah, and there's also an ad for the Green Goblin getting his own series. All right, which, if you remember, boys and girls, at the time, the Phil Urich bends. This is where we first see Phil Urich, who then became the Goblin Knight and Dan Slott killed in Amazing Spider-Man 799 or whatever. But anyway, this was the first time we ever see Phil Urich. He finds a costume Harry's been experimenting on and
Oh, are you talking about the backup with Phil Urich? Is that what you're talking about?
No. I mean, I'm just talking about the ad. The fact that the ad advertises the ad advertises the Green Goblin series. That's what this was about. Okay. It was going to be a heroic Goblin. Okay. And it wasn't too bad. It really wasn't. DeFalco wrote it. It wasn't too bad of a series, but it ended when the real Goblin came back. But anyway, just briefly here, we have a little short story called The Cycle of Life.
Look who wrote it. Look who wrote it. Our man Stan.
Yep.
Stan Lee wrote the late, great George Perez inked it.
Mm-hmm. Man. Yep. And the thing is, it's a shame Stan wrote it because I really hate the last panel. But anyway, so really this is, Peter and Mary Jane in deep contemplation, about life and people they've loved and lost or whatever. Well, and then of course this, group of bad guys, just thugs show up and at
the cemetery.
And Peter is just so involved, in I do love this because this shows how powerful he is. It's just, he doesn't even give it a thought. He just, boom, Mary Jane is like, oh my God, boom, he just swats him like he's just a bug. And then, then the next page is the guy pointing the gun at him. And, well,
yeah, you're done.
That doesn't last very long either.
This is my grieving day.
Yeah, so that was they were messing with him. And then, there's a flashback story about when Peter was little and how tough, even though he was being picked on, he was a fighter and everything like that. But the last page of the story, last panel just really gets me. Okay,
hold on. The last page.
Yeah, the last page. Now,
I'm getting it. Where he's crying?
Yeah.
Okay, so he's crying. Okay.
Okay, boys and girls.
Yeah.
I have been married for
30 Jesus.
3 years. 33 years. Okay.
I have 33 years.
Never had any conversation with my spouse, even when we were young and in love, that sounded like this. And now, my darling, I make you the same promise. So long as life endures, I'll always be yours. That rhymes. All right. Nothing lasts forever, my love. And yet there's one thing time can never destroy. Okay. Perhaps that's the miraculous cycle of life. The fact that love and love alone is eternal. Oh my God. I mean, basically if you're bulimic, and you want to and you want to force yourself to throw your food up, this is it.
Stan maybe talked to Joni like that, maybe.
He is the, I don't know.
He's the only one, huh?
And this is why
Brent says it Stan's trademark cheesy dialogue. It's endearing.
I'm sorry, but this is why, and again, I'm not going to take this one out of context or whatever, but in numerous issues, it's like, are the way Peter and Mary Jane would talk to each other and express their love for each other? It's like, no, you don't talk that way. It's just, you don't. Married people don't talk that way. And it's no wonder that some people couldn't stand the marriage because of the dialogue. The dialogue was just wretched. You can't make it too realistic because, it's kind of like, nobody can call me worse names than my wife has called me over the course of the last 33 years.
Oh, darling JR.
But anyway, so there's our backup story for the day. But anyway, part 4 of the Symbiotes. I mean, oh my God, I hate to leave you boys and girls, but for the next 30 days, but you're going to have to sit on this cliffhanger for a while.
You are, and we will be back in just a few minutes to wrap this story up and also tackle the Ben Reilly backups through all 5 parts.
That's right.
And we'll be back in just 3 minutes, it looks like. So see you on the other side. Yeah!